Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thanks for coming to watch Subdeck as an update on a major winter storm that we have brewing here for the central United States. We have extreme blizzard conditions impacting the central plains, a big tornado and severe weather threat that we have across portions of the Midwest. I've got all the details coming right up. So thank you all for joining me here on this Wednesday morning. We have a lot to talk about in this video. We're going to break down everything that you're really seeing on your map right now, as we have obviously our major storm system that is currently producing multiple hazards here across the middle portion of the country. So we're going to break down everything that you need to know as we progress throughout the rest of today, and as we get into tomorrow, and then into the last part of this week. But we're going to start out by taking a look at your current satellite, and you can see you have a very big negatively tilted trough. You can see that classic comma shape there. That signifies a strengthening low pressure system there. So very, very strong storm system, very strong surface low that's currently producing blizzard conditions up here into the plains. I mean, where you see this very stable air mass here, where you have just a lot of cloud cover. Okay, this is where you're seeing very heavy snow, and this is falling across portions of Nebraska into South Dakota, maybe even a portion of Iowa and Minnesota. This will likely spread the area as we see the storm system continue to move off to the east here. So this is currently producing very, very heavy snow and strong winds, as we are seeing a lot of that very strong wind coming from the north wrap around the backside of that low pressure system. So when you get a ton of snow and very strong winds, this is where you're gonna have those possible blizzard conditions. So very, very dangerous stuff going on out there into the plains as we get through the rest of today. And then you can see also we do have some storms initiating here across portions of Missouri into Illinois and Iowa. This is where we're gonna see a possible tornado threat as we get through the later part of today, as we do have an elevated threat for a couple tornadoes and perhaps even a strong tornado today. So we will be live on this channel covering that, so make sure you are subscribed with all notifications turned on. And finally, you can see down here into the deep south, we have a ton of dust. This is all very dry air that's been picked up from portions of, western Texas into New Mexico, Arizona, Oklahoma, very, very dusty areas. And this has been picked up and it's now getting carried out to the east with our storm system. So you can see it's currently located over portions of eastern Texas into Arkansas and into Missouri there. So very, very dry stuff, very dry air going on there. We have seen also a lot of wildfire smoke come up from this area. So there definitely will be an increased threat for poor air quality out here, but very, very dry and dusty conditions farther to the south that you go. All right. So we're going to be taking a look at your current alerts. So you can see right now we don't have much going on across the eastern and western portion of the country, but if you look at the central portion of the country, you can see we have a lot going on. So we'll start out here into southern Texas, where we do have in your pink shade, red flag warnings going out for most counties out here in the central, western, and southern Texas, even up in the panhandle. All right, so once again, we're talking about those very, very windy and dry conditions where we saw all that dust getting picked up and that's getting kind of moved with that storm system. Well, that's exactly what we're seeing here. And so there's a very elevated fire threat out there today, as we also do have very windy conditions noted here by those high wind warnings extending all the way up into the Oklahoma panhandle, into the far northern Texas panhandle, into portions of Kansas, extreme eastern Colorado, into portions of Nebraska, Iowa, and even into northwestern Missouri there. We're going to see very, very strong wind gusts, likely over 60 miles per hour in some areas. And then where that's going to overlap the heavy snow, well, that's where we have our blizzard warnings. So you can see we have blizzard warnings going out for sections of northern Kansas into southeastern Nebraska, all the way up through northwestern Iowa, and then we do have wind storm warnings now up for portions of central Wisconsin, as we likely will see, less intense conditions there, but still very, very heavy snow accumulating to, a couple inches out there. So pretty dangerous stuff going on there as far as your wildfire and your kind of blizzard threat goes. But you can also see very windy conditions for most of the country here. You're going to get a pretty strong southerly flow, as you're going to see that big moisture pull. Well, that's going to definitely enhance your winds here. So those southerly winds are going to be gusting likely up to the 50s, maybe even up to 60 miles per hour in some places. But anywhere in this tan shade, all the way from Illinois down through portions of Dixie Alley into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, into Tennessee, this is where we're going to see those very, very strong wind gusts of likely up to 55, maybe even 60 miles per hour. So anyone in this tan shade that you see here, this is where we have those wind advisories. So make sure you are, securing those loose objects, as those definitely will be able to get blown around, such as like trash cans, trash can tops, and just, furniture outdoors. But you can see we also do have a couple of red flag warnings going out for portions of the Ohio Valley down through northern Georgia, as we also are seeing very windy and dry conditions out there. So make sure you are not burning anything outdoors, as there's a pretty critical fire threat out there today. And we can actually take a look at the SPC, and we'll look at your fire threats. So let's take a look at this here. So we look at our fire outlook. You can see we do have a critical threat out here in the portions of western Texas here. This includes Fort Stockton, Midland, Odessa, San Angelo, and Del Rio, Texas. But anyone in this red shade, this is where we have a critical fire threat. So please be sure to, not burn anything flammable outside, and just make sure you're, being extra careful here, as it is a pretty favorable environment for fire spread. And then you can see most of Texas and the general area here is under an elevated fire threat. Really, all these areas currently in the orange, and then there is another elevated fire threat little area out here across portions of southwest Pennsylvania down through the mountainous regions of the Mid Atlantic here near the Alps. And then you can see that gets all the way down into far northern Georgia there. So across country, there will be definitely a pretty significant fire threat. And you can see we have another critical in the northeastern New Mexico tomorrow. And then we likely will see that continue throughout the rest of the week. All right, so we're going to go back to your blizzard here, but I do want to take a look quickly at radar. So I know we looked at satellite, but this is what radar is currently looking like here for your blizzard. So we switch things over here to radar scum, and we'll get you guys an idea of how heavy the snow is. So you can see as of right now, we have very heavy snow falling across portions of northeastern Nebraska into Kansas. Look how heavy the snow is. This is likely 40 to 50 dBz of snowfall, and then you have very strong winds put into here as well. So we could actually turn on velocities here, which measures how strong your winds are going towards and away from the radar. And look at this down here near Lincoln. These are elevated wind speeds, all right, but these are very, very strong winds. I would not be surprised if we have hurricane force winds currently blowing through this area. And you also have extremely heavy snowfall in this area as well. So Lincoln, Nebraska, getting absolutely slammed right now by blizzard conditions, and then all the way up through Omaha, we're going to see those very, very the very intense snow rates there as we get through the rest of today and into this evening here. But you could see, overall, just mostly 30 to 40 dBz of snowfall. So once again, very, very heavy snow coming down as of right now. We can actually turn on lightning strikes. I don't know if let's see. I believe we can do that here. So I guess they're not showing up for some reason. But we do have thunder snow going on out here. So we have actually seen some lightning strikes pop up throughout the portions of eastern Nebraska lately. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how heavy that snow is. And then we also are seeing heavy snow move into portions of Iowa as well. So just to give you guys an idea of what's happening generally here across this region, but we are seeing very, very heavy snow and blizzard conditions throughout today. So we look at the NAM 3 cam model. This is going to give you guys your hour by hour outlook as to what we could expect later today. So this is what we saw waking up to very heavy snow bands here across portions of northeastern northwestern Kansas down into southern Nebraska, and then this continued throughout the morning, and we get to about noon today, so this is in a couple hours. You can see most of that very heavy snow will likely continue to move its way to the northeast as that low pressure system continues to lift off to the northeast as well, but very, very heavy snow, intense snowfall rates out here in the portions of northwestern Iowa. I would not be surprised if we saw more thunder snow today, maybe a little corridor of some sleet mixing in there towards your freezing line, but still hang on to moderate to heavy snowfall out here across sections of southeastern Nebraska, but blizzard conditions still definitely expected across these areas. As you're seeing these shades of pink there, that is where the NAMS scale there for snowfall rates gets maxed out. So we're talking extremely heavy snow moving in throughout the rest of today. And this is as we get into the evening hours. You can see the snow starts to taper off, and you can actually see the storm system looks a little bit more, disorganized, and the snow actually does get a little bit less heavy. But this is where we're starting to see the snow enter those areas that are currently under winter storm warnings across central Wisconsin. Don't be surprised if you still see very, very heavy, maybe even similar snow rates here, as what we're seeing in Nebraska and into Kansas. But I will say that the overall blizzard threat of things, and just the threat of how heavy the snow is going to be, I think is going to start to decrease as this gets into the Midwest there. But still hanging on to light to moderate snow on the backside across portions of Iowa and in even Kansas there. As that system continues to move out, and then you can see on the backside we could even see snow get down as far south as portions of central Illinois, and then that kind of continues to move on out as we get in the overnight hours. But really the most treacherous conditions are going to be from now till about 6 p.m. today. So really until the kind of dinner time frame. Really, this is where we're going to see the most intense conditions. But right now, we are seeing whiteout conditions out across portions of Iowa and Nebraska with thunder snow and very strong wind gusts, likely again over hurricane force. So very, very strong wind gusts, very heavy snow, and thunder snow we're seeing out there. So just a uh, very dangerous day overall for folks out there. So if we take a look at the NAM, you can see we do have very, very high snow totals expected here. So this is as of what the morning run should. So this is before all the snow fell. You can see we were projected to see about over a foot of snow in most of these areas. We'll start out here in northern Kansas and southeastern Nebraska. I would not be surprised if some areas topped off at over a foot. I do think that there is a chance we will see multiple inches over a foot in some places, but I do think some of these totals are a little bit overdone. I mean, but the NAM is going for in Omaha. We could see up to 16 inches of snow. I think it's certainly possible, but you can see this area of red shaded here and maybe even some tans. This is where we're seeing close to 18, maybe even 20 inches of snow. So, multiple feet of snow is going to be possible. I think we're mainly going to see about 12 to 18 as our highest amounts here, but this is a very significant blizzard that we're seeing here. So, again, over a foot of snow for likely this entire area that's currently in the purple and red shades there. And then as you get into portions of Wisconsin here, you can see that's a very steep drop off. We likely go from about a foot of snow to now really what looks to be about 4 to 6, maybe even up to 8 inches of snow out here, but really nothing much other than that. And then as that snow wraps around on the backside, you can see across portions of northern Illinois, we could see several inches of snow, and that could continue to portions of Michigan, where we could even see a little bit higher totals there. So I think that definitely 2 to 4 inches is going to be possible for a lot of these areas out here in the lower Midwest. As we continue throughout the next couple hours. But really, I think lake enhancement could definitely be possible across the Great Lakes region. So I think that might be a reason why we see these isolated spots of heavier amounts. But once again, the band attraction, the big shows out here in Nebraska and Kansas, where we likely will see several inches over a foot of snow out here over the next couple of hours, if that makes sense. So we're going to be moving on to the severe weather threat that we have today. You can see we do have an enhanced risk for severe weather, including portions of central and eastern Illinois here. This is a level 3 to 5 risk for severe weather. So if you're in the orange shade, you have a pretty elevated threat for seeing severe weather. You could also see we have a pretty small slight risk surrounding that. That's a level 2 to 5 risk, including portions of Indiana there and extending into southern and northern portions of Illinois. That does include Chicago, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Aurora, and Rockford. But the enhanced risk includes Peoria, Decatur, Champaign, Bloomington, and Terre Haute, Indiana, and Illinois here. So if you are in any of these areas, make sure you have a good way to receive warnings, because it's looking like the storms will be much more widespread, and I think that some of them could be much more stronger than we initially thought. So we move on to today's tornado threat. You can see it is a 10% risk, and there is a bit of there's a hatch risk in here, so it is a 10% hatched. This is going out for portions of northern and eastern Illinois here. But you can see that does include Peoria, that does include Springfield. So if anyone is in this 10% hatch threat, again, make sure you have a good way to receive warnings, as there is a chance for a strong tornado of EF2 to EF5 intensity within 25 miles of given locations. So I think anywhere in the 10% hatch threat, there will be definitely a possibility of a couple tornadoes, perhaps one or two being a strong one. So that's why we're going to have to be live here for severe weather coverage as we get later to today. And then you can see they have extended the 5% all the way out into portions of extreme western Ohio here, but this goes out all the way from eastern Iowa down through northeastern Illinois, and then most of Indiana, and then into far western Ohio there. So if you're on the 5%, that's the brown shade there. And then you can see also we have 2% surrounding this general area, currently in that green shade. All right. So those are your tornado probability study. You can see we also do have a elevated wind threat. You can see our wind threat is up to about a 50% chance here of seeing damage and wind gusts within 25 miles of a given location. That's the same area as that slight and enhanced risk. And you can see there is a very broad 5% going all the way down into portions of Dixie Alley there, where we did see that line of showers and storms on satellite with that low pressure system. Some of those storms could definitely hang down pretty far south. We may see a elevated damaging wind gusts, or maybe even a small hail threat out there later today. So make sure that if you do get put under a severe thunderstorm warning, that you are just staying indoors and away from windows for the most part there. But you can see also our hail threat. It is a little bit smaller than a wind threat, but it is localized out here in the northern portions of Illinois. And then we do have a pretty broad 5%, again, going down into Dixie Alley in the deep south and going all the way back up into portions of Iowa and into southern Wisconsin and southern Michigan there. So pretty active stuff going on today. And once again, make sure you have all notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any severe weather coverage live streams. But then you look at tomorrow's threat, and we don't have any severe threat as of right now. So that's what we got going on today. And you take a look. We'll look at the NAM3 camera. We're gonna once again go hour by hour here. So we can actually turn on our updraft velocity tracks here, so it kind of overlaps the reflectivity, so we get an idea of what the NAM, what exactly, what storms the NAM wants to kind of be producing that, or at least seeing significant updrafts from. So you can see. This is as we get into the really afternoon and evening hours. You can see storms do initiate here across portions of southeastern Iowa, and into portions of far western Missouri, and this continues over the next couple of hours. And watch how these storms, I mean, they really start to grow upscale, and these start to mature very, very quickly. So all of a sudden, you've got a full-blown line of supercells that are definitely going to be capable of producing tornadoes, large hail and damaging wind gusts out here into portions of central Illinois. This is going to be going across interstates like I-70, and maybe even I-55. I believe I-55 is an interstate out here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we will likely see these storms continue across northeastern Illinois, and I definitely do think along this line of supercells, there will be definitely a couple of tornadoes possible today, and I think these supercells will be capable of producing strong tornadoes, and I'll give you the reason why. But these storms continue to move into portions of Indiana where we do have that 5% tornado threat, and you can see they do look much more disorganized, but still the NAM does want some of these northern cells to look a little bit more healthier as these continue into Indiana and to Ohio there. So really, as these exit Illinois, that's where we're going to see them really lose that significant tornado threat. But I think a couple tornadoes cannot be ruled out across portions of Ohio and Indiana as we get through the evening and overnight hours of today. But we can also take a look at your shear, your dew point values here. So this is going to be show us how kind of moist the air is. So you can see we do have a pretty decent warm sector as these storms continue to move off to the east. This will have a very, very significant and steep drop off here. So you can see all that dry, cold air coming in from the backside. That's going to kind of push these storms off to the east here, but you can see widespread, upper 50, maybe even low 60 dew points out here into portions of Illinois, western Missouri, portions of Indiana and Ohio. I think that's definitely going to support the threat for growing supercells, and obviously that's what's going to kind of kickstart our severe threat, and that's what's going to help our storms grow upscale is just how moist this warm sector is, because you're going to take advantage of the warm, moist air, and they're going to be able to become more organized, and therefore they're going to be able to start, rotating there. But you can see even as we get through the rest of the night, upper 50 dew points look widespread out here across portions of eastern Illinois and all of Indiana, and then even in western Ohio and southern Michigan there, and that will likely continue to help support the threat for a couple tornadoes and just strong supercells as we get through the evening and overnight hours of today. So again, not the craziest threat of severe weather. I think that this definitely does have the potential to support a 10% hatch tornado threat. But again, I don't think we're going to see a too significant of a severe threat. But again, the threat for tornadoes and perhaps one or two strong tornadoes, it is there today. So you really can't ignore that. So don't sleep on today's threat. But then finally, for the last part of the update, we take a look at your bulk shear. This is going to show us how much wind shear you have in the atmosphere. Okay, this is really going to show us which area has potential for storms to start rotating and develop, big updrafts, and what storms have potential to produce tornadoes and start, producing lowerings and phone clouds and all that good stuff. So this is just going to show us how much wind shear we have in the lower levels of the atmosphere. You can see as we continue to move through the afternoon and evening hours. This is when the storms are going to be moving through Illinois. We do have pretty strong shear overlapping those areas with high dew points. So whenever you see that, that is a definitely a sign that forecasters look for a possible severe threat. But you could see shear values of 70 to 80 knots. I think is definitely going to be possible out here. So strong shear overlapping high dew points. I mean, that's a pretty good setup that you got there. And then this continues to kind of increase over the next couple hours. And if we do see more robust cells fire across southern Illinois down towards the I-70 corridor, I think that a couple of those cells will definitely have a chance of producing tornadoes, and especially at least developing rotation, as it looks like there will be an area of stronger shear out here of potentially up to 80 knots over the next couple of hours. So we'll definitely have to watch out for that. And then as the storms continue into Indiana, I think a big reason why we just still have the 5% is because, again, you still have dew points in the mid to upper 50s, and that will overlap again. It looks like stronger shear values of into the 80s out here, maybe even close to 90 knots, which definitely would enhance that tornado threat. So don't sleep on today's tornado threat across even into portions of Ohio, but definitely across Illinois and Indiana, where really I could not rule out one or two strong tornadoes today if this threat really does peak. But I definitely think today there is a potential for a localized outbreak of severe storms and possibly even some tornadoes. All right, so that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for tuning in. So again, please stay safe out there. If you are getting impacted by that blizzard, just stay off those roadways. Whiteout conditions, very low visibility, very dangerous travel out there. So really, just make sure you are staying off those roadways because there will be major travel disruptions and just problems in general out there into the Central Plains. And then if you're getting impacted by these severe storms, again, nothing like what we've seen in the past, nothing like what we saw on Friday and on Saturday, but there is a elevated threat for a few tornadoes and a couple, we're talking one or two strong tornadoes possible today. So again, make sure you have all notifications turned on, that you're subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss out on severe weather coverage, because we will likely be activating severe weather coverage and doing a live stream here on YouTube later today. So make sure you're not missing out on that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for coming to watch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.